Well, that last episode was a bit of a stretch. I mean, we're gonna make cell phones.
I think they still should have chopped down that tree.
I still think so too. Just ended the conflict, ended the big part of the conflict right there.
That's like 2 less warriors you gotta worry about.
Yeah, really good warriors too.
Like,
The fact that they didn't go back and fuck those 2 up is part of the other reason that I still don't believe that the show's gonna go super violent at any point. Because, like, they're straight up basically at war with these dudes, but I don't feel like Senku and them are taking it as, like, a war. They're just taking it as, like, we gotta outthink them, figure out a way to stop them from doing what they're doing. But I don't think they're straight up being like, we're gonna kill all of them.
I'd be, concerned for my survival, and people would be like, okay, yeah.
I think in a situation like that, even if you had a dude that's, like, on the side of science and everything, making tech, like, he's gonna be like, we're developing a way to wipe these guys out because they're clearly... on the side of, like, evil or whatever.
Or at least take the leader out so the ideology can't spread.
That's the other thing, too, because Tsukasa, as strong as he is, as badass as he is, his ideology is very dangerous.
I want to point something out, too, about this that is going to probably make everyone think that I'm a shitty person, but does the ideology that Tsukasa's preaching remind you all of anything today?
Yes. Yeah, it reminds me of, like, the argument for, the modern equivalent of what people are asking for in utopian socialism, which, don't get me wrong, I've read utopian socialism. Hell, I used to believe in it. But then I had a realization. We kind of do live in a socialist country already because it's corporate socialism. You pretty much have these companies at the top that are determining what we buy, what we eat, what we have, all these things. And... the government protects them. The government protects them and makes them, quote-unquote, too big to fail. When in truth, we need a free market economy. That way prices of commodities and goods, such as healthcare, such as technology, such as food, and all these other things, can go nowhere but down. But instead, we got these pillars of, quote-unquote, capitalism, and... we're all slaves.
There's a bunch of stuff that everybody thinks is capitalism being evil, essentially, that isn't capitalism. It's literally...
no, it's not.
It's literally like the government doing things that are anti-capitalism.
Exactly. It's the government restricting capitalism and the free market.
If people actually took 2 seconds to look closer at what's happening and think about it, you would realize that a lot of these people that are like, capitalism's the problem, we need to go full socialism, are not actually...
have never read a history book and don't know the history of socialism.
They're not seeing what capitalism is supposed to be anyway.
And before I hear...
it's not capitalism.
And before I hear nothing but a bunch of comments, that wasn't real socialism, that wasn't real socialism, then when's real socialism going to show up? Because every historical equivalent of it has led to nothing but ruin. Whereas, look, don't get me wrong, capitalism is not perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect system. Get that through your head. Communism's not perfect. Socialism's not perfect. Corporatism's not by no means is perfect.
Corporatism is probably just as bad as, if not worse than socialism.
Yeah, and then
that's
there's
what we have here is corporatism.
And then there's free market capitalism, which is what this country was built on, which lifted more people out of poverty than any other system in the world. Created the middle class. Actually, it started in Europe too. I mean, the English were the first to modernize. With technology, and thus put money in the pockets of working class people, and actually gave birth to the 3-class system.
Yeah, it's funny to me.
Then we adapted it here in the States, and it thrived.
Basically, bringing it back to the show, they've essentially made Tsukasa and his, I guess civilization, like his kingdom or whatever.
Yeah,
like the villainous equivalent of the people who say things such as "eat the rich" in modern society.
Yeah,
it's like that's exactly their mentality. Is they're like it's all the rich people's fault, and we can't do anything because of the rich people and stuff like that.
Which here's the thing, I don't have a problem with Bill Gates being a billionaire. I didn't have a problem with Steve Jobs being a billionaire. I didn't have a problem with Steve Wozniak. I only have a problem with people who seek to take everything away from the masses and only benefit themselves, which that's not what Steve Jobs did. I mean, don't get me wrong. He fought for quality with his equipment, and the company thrived. And then of course Bill Gates created a universal computing software. I mean, who can be mad about that?
We wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now if it wasn't for Bill Gates.
It's like people from that mentality are shitting on people like Elon Musk, who are literally trying to give us
electric cars,
affordable tours to space,
portable
and
satellite
shit.
internet.
Yes.
Elon Musk is essentially like a fucking ADD name. Him.
Oh, fucking Senku.
Yeah, Senku, like our modern era, essentially.
I can agree with that because look, everyone just sees what he's worth and assumes, oh, he must have stolen that. No, I can't tell you how many times I've told people to do this, and then they do it, and then they come away with a different picture of Elon Musk altogether. The dude literally had nothing when he moved to Canada, refused to take money from his family, which was made by illegal jewel operations, which he did not support. He actually he never talks to his dad. That's how much he tries to distance himself from his family. He built everything. And now, not only is he one of the richest people in the world, he is literally trying to solve a shit ton of the world's problems so that future generations don't have to worry about it.
The dude was basically like, yeah, well, we want money for this, so instead of like getting it in like the shadiest way possible that a lot of big companies and stuff do, he's like, let's sell a model flamethrower to people to fundraise for it.
Yeah.
It's like, people would like
and
that.
And not only that,
I have the tech to do that.
Yeah.
So, like,
and not only that, but the prices of his stuff aren't going up like some companies do. Instead,
they're going down.
They're going nowhere
Yeah.
but down. The Cybertruck, you'll be able to buy.
he's not trying to make money.
Cybertruck
He's
for
trying
like $34,000.
he's trying to give like technological advances in an era where people have kind of just like become a little bit sedentary with like wanting more technology. Like we've got to a point where everyone feels comfortable, I think, with the level of tech we've reached. And it takes people like Elon to kind of keep pushing and be like, yo, we can go farther. Like, we just don't stop and sit on your ass, you know?
Yeah,
like,
don't settle. Don't rest on your laurels. Mm-hmm. Keep innovating. Keep pushing. Keep trying to, like, change the world for the better. Keep trying to do more. Because as much...
I didn't get to look up, by the way, but did I'm assuming the spaceship, like, made it fine to the space station and everything? Like, I saw it launch, and they were like, we'll be docking tomorrow, but I never did look back in on it.
It's NASA's first trip back to space in over a decade. And they made it to the ISS. And that's awesome.
It's kick-ass.
Yeah.
It was really cool seeing that live, too. Like, it was kind of surreal, like, watching on camera being like, these dudes just went to space. Like,
yes.
And I've never actually seen, like, I know people have been to space, like, and been to the space station, like, multiple times, like, in my lifetime, but that was one of the first times I got to see it, like, happen, like, in real time and everything. It was very cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, we stopped looking up at the stars and wondering. It seems as though in the last decade or so.
You can see the International Space Station if you look outside. If you're outside about roughly, I'm not sure when the schedule's at. I have to check the app, but I think it's going to be right around 10 o'clock something. You only have about an 8-minute window to see it. But
that's amazing, though.
I have actually seen it before.
I have too.
Like,
it's
quite a few
amazing.
years ago.
Depending on how far away it is, it can look like a little star. Or if it's over top, you can actually see like multiple lights of it.
I've actually seen it.
It wasn't a great one, but I had a telescope like quite a few years ago, probably about 10 or so years ago, and there was a point where they were like, yeah, you can see it today, and we went outside and got the telescope so we could see it a little bigger, and it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
So
it's a marvel to see.
Very fast.
Yes.
Things like whoa.
Well, it's circling the Earth at what? How many miles per hour?
I'm not sure. Probably like 25,000 something miles an hour.
Yeah, and in space where there's no physics to affect it, you don't really feel that.
Yeah,
and it's just amazing the technology that we had over the last 50 years.
Yeah,
the jump in it is amazing, but it seems as now everyone, like a lot of these companies that have innovated in the past, are resting on their laurels. And Elon Musk is pretty much coming along and saying, if you all don't innovate, I will, and you'll be left behind.
Yeah.
And this is how capitalism works: adapt or die. I mean, there's a reason why Carnegie Steel is not known anymore, because after Andrew Carnegie sold it, you know, like the people who ran it into the ground, and that was it. I mean, that's how capitalism works. I mean, and it's not the perfect system, but it's a damn sight better than any other that's ever existed. All right. Enough with our ranting about socialism, communism,
and science.
And science, yes. And Elon Musk and the awesomeness that he is. Let's get to some Dr. Stone up on the screen and kick it.
Manual labor has officially ended.
You have harnessed the power of nature.
We're finally truly harnessing the incredible power of nature.
Yes!
Called that one.
Say goodbye to relying on manpower. And hello to the age of energy.
Yes! Hydroelectric power plant. Now, that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Dude!
You know, if I had
It just irks me that like he's as smart as he is, and he wasn't the one that thought of that a long ass time ago.
His mind's been on other things. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think for him, the age, like figuring the energy stuff out, was going to come after he had the wire.
Yeah.
And plus, I think Chrome just had that spark of innovation, and I think Senku doesn't want to direct him. He wants to see if Chrome can think for himself. Because if he really wanted to micromanage Chrome, he'd just be over top of him all the time, and be like, no, this goes here. No, that goes there. No, this and that. And then once they had the water wheel figured out, Senku's just like, you did it. Now there's two great inventors.
Yeah, if he keeps doing stuff like that, they're gonna like jump even faster, you know, because like one guy with all the science is all right, but like the more dudes you have doing the science, the better, obviously.
Well, of course, because two minds are better than one whenever it comes to problem solving, because it's like the unilateral thinking that computers do. Computers can figure out millions of different possibilities with quantifying mathematics and everything. So in a world where that doesn't exist, one mind with a great, like, you teach a man, like, you catch a fish for a man, you fed him for a day. You teach the man to fish, he feeds himself for life.
Yep.
Same difference here. You know, Senku has all the science in the world. He shows these people the miracles of science, and he saves their lives potentially.
Well,
he teaches them.
Start thinking innovatively.
Yeah, knowledge is contagious. Basically.
It is.
So the fact that he was already of a curious mind meant that obviously he's the second choice for the character that's going to be like, hey, I got an idea now.
Yes.
And that's going to start to hopefully rub off on everyone to the point where you start to have the kingdom of science actually being a kingdom of science, a kingdom of scientists, basically. Where everybody starts to have ideas like, what if we did this with this? You know, and other people start having ideas.
And of course, you can start teaching the kids when they're young.
Oh yeah, the kids are probably going to be some of the first ones that start coming up with more ideas, because like sometimes just the simple thinking of a child like is enough to like bring forth ideas that adults are overthinking and stuff, you know.
And kids, if they're interested in something, they absorb information like a sponge.
Like you have Suika, yeah, like, and she's obviously like all about this stuff. So I think that she's an obvious choice for a character that's probably going to come up with a really good idea at some point like that.
And plus, not only that, they also have a mentalist who can break stuff down to where it can be understood simply, and then they can build up to the point where someone can potentially be at the level of Senku in the future.
Yeah, he's kind of just spectating for the moment, but eventually his cogs are going to start to turn, like, pun intended, as well, like, too, like, you know, so.
Yeah. And it's good that they have all these like, you know, skilled craftsmen like the old man, a mentalist, and then of course they also have like good physical manual labor, because all these people have lived off the land their entire lives. Yeah. And thus are capable of doing this and doing it at a good pace. And when you have, you know, it's the application of science. You see, theoretical science is all well and good, but applied science and applied physics, I mean, and putting it into practicum that can be used and utilized by everybody, that is the true needle mover when it comes to civilization. It's when you have, because you can have, like, there's a reason why the Greek didn't take over the world. The Greek had all these amazing thoughts, the great philosophies, and all that, but they got conquered by the Spartans. And then their civilization died off. And it wasn't until the Industrial Revolution that you started to see these, like, for instance, the United States, where we're at right now, is one of the, like, we're, in terms of, like, technological empires, we're, like, the best right now. I mean, it's crazy to think about how far the world has come, but, you know...
It's crazy to think, too, about how fast stuff can jump back from Stone Age to where we're at when you have people that already know the ideas and everything that it took people years and years to come up with originally.
Yes.
because some of the obvious things I'm seeing now that he's got the water wheel, is all right. Like he was talking about his saw, right? Like I'm pretty sure at some point he's gonna be like, yeah, so your saw. It's like, so check this out, and like he's gonna give him
a big blade,
a power saw, you know.
Yeah,
and
he's
he's like, yeah, we have this. It can go back and forth with the power, and then he's like, well, we can do this too, and check this out. We can make the saw into a circular saw, and then
you can cut
it's like,
trees and make
you
ships and boats.
And then he drills. Like he's gonna he'll probably come up with like an electric drill, like just the power tools